Hi, folks. So I've gathered a lot of responses from you guys, all through the form of those surveys that I posted on Friday. And I haven't heard back from everybody, and I'll get to that in a second, but at least for those that I have heard back from, I've been able to sort of gather together a lot of the responses, take a look at them overall, and in a few specific cases, I might have even sent you an individual email. But beyond that, I think there's some things that I can speak to overall that I want to really touch on. So you will see me just going over some notes that I have on my computer screen here. So you'll see my eyes kind of jumping back and forth, okay? I will say that I did have some people mention that the internet that they use has been a bit slow. Thankfully, I didn't have anyone say that the internet was completely not working or that any of the videos weren't loading at all. But again, I did hear because there was maybe some slow internet situations that might be a little bit of an issue going forward. I will say, other than streaming those videos, there won't be any other heavy duty internet things that I'll be requiring of you. So there may be occasional websites and things that we use, but none of them will use any or require any faster streaming than you would need to stream those videos. If you're still having bigger issues with the videos though, and it's really becoming a much larger issue, please get in touch with me. I'll try and figure out if there's some way around it. Maybe if you're someone that works really well auditorially, maybe I can just provide you with the audio for that as well. We can try and work around that as best we can. Problem is, video is a very effective way, so that's the way that I prefer to post things as much as possible, but we can try and work around internet if that's your issue. In terms of the actual lessons themselves, it's always interesting as a teacher when you ask a question such as, should I maybe skip over some of the examples in the lesson, or do you think I should never do that? And there's always a bit of a mix of both. So while I did have some people saying, hey, they don't mind at all if I skip over examples and make the video shorter, I had still quite a few that said, you know, I really don't want you to ever do that. I like to see as many examples as possible. So it's kind of tough for me to balance both of those at the same time because they are so opposite. So what I will say is that going forward from now on, any videos that I create will include all of the examples that are in the original lesson as much as possible. There may be occasional times where I maybe pause toward the end of an example and let you try and finish off the last bit on your own, but I won't completely skip over any. If some of you don't require all of that though, remember that it is in video form. So the nice thing is you can skip ahead as much as you want. And even if maybe you want to see all the examples, but you just don't need to see me explain it at a slower pace, or you want to see me explain it at a faster pace is what I'm saying, you can always increase the speed of the video as well, or slow down the pace of my voice as well. So you can actually make it and customize it any way that you want. So keep that in mind. But from now on, all of the examples at least will be in those videos. You don't have to watch every single bit of it if you don't want to. Now, there were quite a few people that I still haven't gotten any survey response from at all. So please, if you've seen this on Google Classroom, it only takes a few minutes, fill out that quick survey for me. And it's just really a way for me to check in and make sure that things are going at least okay and that you're able to access everything. And this really saves me the trouble of having to bug you in some other way to try and follow up, whether that's an email or a phone call. With the 70 students that I have, it's not really realistic for me to be constantly emailing and phone calling individual students all the time. So please respond to things like these surveys that I put out because it's an easy way for me to gather information on everybody, okay? In terms of going forward, some things to know. So today is Sunday that I'm posting this, and so tomorrow on Monday, the final lesson of Unit 2 is going to be released. And that lesson is really just sort of a summary of all of the trig stuff that we've done, really in 2A and 2B, all of the trigonometry going all the way back to the basic SOHCAHTOA ratios. And there are some actual homework questions assigned with that lesson, just the same type of homework questions that have been assigned with all of the others. But that homework I'm actually going to say is optional, because the most important homework that I want you to do with tomorrow's lesson, after you've watched the video, is actually do the knowledge hook assignment that I'm going to post tomorrow as well. So I've been mentioning this website called Knowledge Hook for all you folks, and now I'm finally going to give you the information that you'll need to get signed up with it. It's something that you can create your own free account on. It doesn't require really very much personal information or any personal information at all. All you're going to need is a quick little username and a password when you go to set it up. And I created a video to show you how to get logged in and and set up for all of that. And then you'll be able to work on what are called missions. And I've created 2 missions for you, and they're kind of like mini homework assignments, or essentially like multiple choice quizzes that are going to take you through a whole bunch of trigonometry related questions. And that's also something that I can then use as a little assessment to really see where you're at. And especially for those of you that maybe were unhappy with your mark before the break, this can be a way to show me that you've really improved or really understanding these skills now. So keep an eye out for all of that. So again, the knowledge hook stuff that I post tomorrow, that is what I really intend for you to do as homework. But all of the other homework that goes along in those note packages, there's still a homework assignment that goes with tomorrow's as well. So if you want to do that as an extra optional bit of homework, that's perfectly okay as well. In terms of the homework that people have been submitting me, thank you to those that have been submitting pictures of the homework. I know this isn't the perfect system, but it really is the best way that I have right now just to track where people are at, how many people have completed the lesson, and who I maybe need to follow up with to see who's falling behind. I wanted to at least get everyone into this system a little bit and get you a feel for what it would be like to see these lessons posted and what it would be like to submit pictures to me. But now that at least everyone's gotten a bit of a sense of how this is going to work, I now want to get a little bit more specific in terms of providing you with a little bit of feedback for that homework. So starting with our next unit, which means starting on Wednesday when I post the first lesson of Unit 3, I'm also going to attach a small rubric to each assignment that's posted. And so that rubric is really just going to assess 2 basic quick things when I look over whatever picture you submit in your homework. And the one is just organization. So ideally, in the perfect level 4 situation, I'd want to see things like a lesson title at the top, each question being numbered, and obviously fairly neat and easily readable writing in all cases. That's the one main criteria that I'll assess, and it'll just be a quick little level 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the other thing that I'll look at is just your self-assessment skills. Because one thing that I would like to see people do a little bit more of is make sure that they are checking their own answers using the answer documents that I provide. So that means checking off answers that you got correct so that I can clearly see you've checked them, and then maybe either correcting any simple errors that you made or circling and highlighting any things that were really challenging for you that you couldn't figure out and you couldn't find the right answer. But showing me that you've done all those things could get you at a level 3 or a level 4 just in those self-assessment skills that I'm looking for, okay? I'll post a reminder and a bit more explanation about this on Wednesday, though, that'll go along with that new lesson when we start Unit 3 on Wednesday. All this being said, though, some of you have not submitted any pictures of homework yet at all. In some cases, that might just mean you forgot, and that's fine. Just try and get it to me as soon as possible. If you're having any issues accessing or attempting anything in the homework for whatever reason, obviously let me know. If you watch the video, remember that the learning happens when you actually do the practice. So just because you've watched the video doesn't necessarily mean you've finished the lesson or that you've really learned anything. It means you've seen a lot of good examples to get you started and to get your brain moving, but the real learning happens when you pick up that pencil and you really make a try at it. So if you're having issues, please let me know and we'll sort of sort them out. But if it's just a simple forgetting, then please get those submitted to me as soon as possible. Lastly, if you are going through some real struggles right now, then obviously falling behind on these lessons is not the most important thing in your life right now. If you're going through some real physical health or mental health issues, or you're caring for a family member that's going through those things, I totally understand, and don't worry if you're falling behind for those reasons. But all that being said, if you are physically and mentally able in any way, you're really only hurting yourself if you don't challenge yourself to stay on top of this stuff as best as you can. You're only going to get better at getting through a crisis like this by practicing getting through a crisis like this. And this is the perfect opportunity to do that, to practice pushing yourself through some of the challenges that are going to come along with this. And all this being said as well, we still don't know for sure if we're coming back. We still might come back later this year. We could be back in June. We don't know for 100%. Now, I might have confused some people when I talked about my plan for, quote, the rest of the semester. But when I explained all of that, I was very clear at the time that I didn't know anything for sure going forward for the rest of the semester, but this is simply my plan if we have to go until the very end of the semester in some form of distance learning. We can't say anything for sure, and so you should try and be as prepared as possible for anything that comes by trying to stay up to date with this stuff as much as possible. And even if we don't come back in June, we're all probably still coming back in September. And if you really expect to start at the next level in grade 11 in September, then you're, again, really only hurting yourself if you let yourself fall behind. Push yourself through, but only if you feel that you are physically and mentally able to do so. Take care of yourself, folks. I will check in again on Wednesday with another little video explanation about how this new rubric system is going to work. And please, as usual, email me as soon as possible if you have questions.